Portuguese first came here in 1471 to trade and then spread Christianity. The system of trade was barter. So they brought tobacco, ammunition, beverages, and then mirror. And they were interested in gold.
Mirrors, glass, okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Gold, ivory, and the spices. So the rate at which Elmina people were giving the Portuguese gold in exchange of tobacco and their wine gave the Portuguese an impression that the land here was full of gold. So they named the place Elmina, meaning gold mine. Yeah. So Elmina is a Portuguese word. There is another name for Elmina, Edina. It's also a Portuguese word. Aldeia, meaning village. We had the name before the Portuguese came. And that time, Elmina was called Anomansa. Anomansa. Yeah, it's a local name. Inuma Onsa. You drink the water will not finish. When the Portuguese came here, they lived along the coast in tents. When the trade was flourishing, they needed a place to protect the trade and the missionaries. So they went to the then chief of Anomansa, called Nana Kwamina Ansa, and negotiated for this portion of the land. Initially, the chief refused to give them the land. He told them that the sea and the land are friends. The sea comes here, goes back. But later, they were considered, and this place was given to them free. So the castle was built in 1482 under the command of Don Diego de Zamboja. So in the 16th century, Portuguese converted the trade into slavery. And they were here for 155 years. 1637, Portuguese were captured by the Dutch. The Dutch initially were at the village we call Muri, 20 kilometers from here after Cape Coast. So they came here on 2 occasions through the CO session to attack the Portuguese, but they were defeated. 1637, Elmina people went through the forest to Muri and directed the guy this way to come and attack the Portuguese. And they went there for 3 main reasons.
1 second. So you're saying that the local people went and cut a path round the back to help the Dutch to come and fight the Portuguese?
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
And they thought when the Portuguese, when the Dutch came here, that would be the end of the slave trade. And the scale that they used to weigh the gold was tempered by the Portuguese. So the locals felt cheated. Portuguese introduced a new law called regimental law, which was not in the favor of the local people. And the law says that if you trade with any other European, one of your ears will cut off. So through the help of Elmina people, Portuguese were captured and the Dutch came here. They continued with the slave trade. And they were here. The Dutch were here for 235 years.
So there's now 355 years now altogether.
Yeah. 1871, British also came here from Cape Coast Castle to attack the Dutch, but then British were not successful. So 1872, through negotiation, the Dutch sold the castle to the British and left. When the British came here, slavery was abolished. So they used the castle as South Administrative Center. And they trained young African men here as soldiers to fight for them in Burma and then India during the Second World War. We call them Royal West African Frontier Force. So British were here for 85 years. In 1957, we had independence, so Ghanaians took over. We are here for 55 years. So this building is 530 years old. It the biggest and the oldest in Africa in connection with the slave trade. You look at the structures here today, some of us are on the view that the Portuguese had the idea of slavery before coming here. The slave trade was premeditated.
Yes.
It was 1441 that Portuguese captured Africans. They came here in 1471. And the castle was built in 1482, date back 1441. Portuguese captured 10 Africans from Senegambia, somewhere in the Guinea coast. And the captain of the group was called Antonio Gonzalez. And they told them that they were going to be trained in Portugal. When they returned, some of them would be interpreters, and those who were intelligent, missionaries. Also to serve as proof to the king of Portugal that they discovered a new world called Africa. When the 10 people reached Portugal, they were in their palace, serving their king as slaves. And they were monitored. The Africans proved physically strong. Demand started. We also had a priest, a Roman Catholic priest called Bartolomeo de las Casas. You know him. He was a Spanish Roman priest. He also suggested to the Spanish crown. And that time they were using the native Indians to work. They were dying. He suggested that they should try some of the Africans and compare in a similar climatic conditions who work harder. So around 1510, 1512, 50 Africans were captured from Gambia to Santo Domingo. And they tried it. Very, very strong. They mastered. We, the Africans, we had some form of slavery before the Europeans came. And we call this system as indentured servants. Those days, if you owe me, you don't have the means. You can bring your children to work as slaves. They will return, they will marry their own property, and they were freed. But if you compare to what happened here, it was in a different form. Sometimes Europeans challenge that Africans had slavery before they came. They are not the same.
Chattel slavery.
Yeah, different from what we had. Yeah, quite different.
It was mostly just a barter system, really.
Yeah.
Almost. But this is like actually dehumanizing people.
Yeah. We chained, tortured, raped, killed. Different from our system of slavery. So we are going to start with
Servitude.
we start with the female dangers.
Thank you.
This is the